What percentage of real estate is actually black money, sir?
Every buyer, according to the government, is an innocent buyer.
Let's say I'm a newbie, or even if I'm experienced also, what and all people should be aware of. Even if they take advice of a real estate professional also, for their own knowledge and awareness, what and all should they know?
The two most important things that today any business lacks is trust and dignity. Now, when you go for registration, what are the different types of offices that you need to hit?
With a lot of YouTubers coming and teaching people, you should not buy a house until you're 40 years of age. What is your take as real estate people?
Real estate is an asset that you hold for a long time in India. Indians have this mentality of not letting go of their asset for a certain value. We are a very resilient market.
There is a saying, right? They don't make it anymore. Land is the land. Irrespective of the population, growth, whatever it is, you have the limited supply of land. Investment appreciation is one of the attributes, but real estate has other uses as well.
What is REETS, sir?
There is a trustee, there is a truster, and there is a third party who gets benefited because of this. That's what REIT is. It creates an environment for somebody having 5-10 lakhs, invest and take return without going through this complicated process. For somebody drawing 15,000 rupees salary,
It's very
for him real estate is always a dream, sir.
Real estate is getting a bit unaffordable for the common man.
In US, the real estate is 70-80 years old market. For us, it's a very young market. We are just 20-25 years old market. So there, the graph is almost like saturating.
Correct.
But here we are growing. So that's why you feel the land prices have gone up.
If youngsters really want to get into real estate as a professional, what is sort of a roadmap that you would like to give them?
Goddess Lakshmi, she sits on a lotus. But you see Ma Saraswati, she sits on a rock. If you are competent enough, money will come to you. As an individual, to compound generating that kind of knowledge, you should spend about 5 years in a certain industry. Otherwise, you cannot call yourself a qualified professional. But in that chair that you sit, if you are a salesman, ensure you sell well. That is dharma.
What does normal guy not know about real estate? Correct. We see houses, we see apartments, that as a real estate. What else is real estate?
How do you effectively invest in real estate? What are the documentations and complexities involved while buying a property in India? How does one build a career in a real estate profession? And why is it always better to have a realtor in a complex real estate transaction? Welcome to another episode of Master's Edge. If you're new here, welcome to the channel. This is Vignesh, partner and co-founder of two different companies, CNV Engineering and Vesta Industrial Solutions. Our first company, CNV Engineering, is into the sourcing and supply chain of engineering components. And our second company, Vesta Industrial Solutions, is into the B2B sales and marketing consulting. Both the companies are based out of Coimbatore city, India. If you are interested and would like to know more about what we do, I'll leave the links to our website below. Over the past decade, we have had the pleasure of interacting with diverse range of professionals across various domains. This podcast is our way of sharing this knowledge with the world. Today's guests are Mr. Balaji Arjunan and Mr. Shivakumar, the managing directors of Dhanvi Ventures India Private Limited. They are real estate professionals with almost 30 plus years of cumulative experience between them, based out of Coimbatore city, India. Dhanvi Ventures India Private Limited has worked with top OEMs across the country like Indospace, TVS Logistics and Decathlon. In this episode, me and my business partner Mr. Sibi Siddharthan sat down with them to understand the nuances in the real estate market. I hope you get as much value as we got during this interaction with them. Before we start, please consider subscribing as it motivates us to bring more guests from diverse backgrounds. This episode is also available on Spotify, Apple Podcast and YouTube Music, the links of which I'll leave in the description. Please switch to 1.5x speed for better viewing experience. Let's get started. Thank you for accepting this invite and coming here to the show. I hope our viewers find value in listening to your insights. So before we get deep into the topics, although we have told the viewers that you are from real estate, can you give a brief intro about who Mr. Shivakumar is and who Mr. Balaji Arjunan is? What exactly you do in real estate?
So thank you for calling us here, and we're deeply indebted to be here. Thanks Vignesh and thanks Sibi. So your question is who is Shivakumar and who is Balaji? I'll start off, since you said Shivakumar, I'll start off with me, then pass it on to Balaji. So I started off my career with sales way back in 2004 with ICICI Prudential, ITC, then BPL Mobile, then got into the real estate industry in 2006, as early as 2006. It was a very, an incident that I would never forget. I was on a flight with somebody, and then the gentleman happened to be the chief advisor to the Crown Prince of Ras Al Khaimah. Ras Al Khaimah is a state in UAE. UAE is 7 states, and one state is Ras Al Khaimah. So Ras Al Khaimah, as Crown Prince, had this ambitious project to diversify in India. And they were looking at opportunities, and at that point in time, FDI, the foreign direct investment in India, had opened up. That is when I got into real estate, because they were looking at expanding real estate, and I started working there. It was a 1,000-acre ambitious project in Coimbatore, on the outskirts of Coimbatore, close to the foothills of Sirvani. So that's when this project started, and I was heading that project. Worked there for about a couple of years. Then moved to IIM to do my second MBA. Then got back and I found out that real estate is an industry that was very, very nascent in India and needs a lot of push. So started off a company in 2008, set the tone for real estate, 2 years, 3 years, then gave off the company to my then partner and started off Dhanvi Ventures India Private Limited in 2011. What we do is we are a pure play real estate firm. We do real estate broking. We advise people on how to get sanctions and approvals in different parts of the country, predominantly in Tamil Nadu and Karnataka. We also do our own small real estate development, which is into layouts. So Balaji and me came together at that point of time, and that's when this business started off. So that's about us and the organization. That's about me and the organization.
Okay.
And
Balaji sir.
Yeah, see, like Shiva, I'm also a sales professional. I started my career in stock market, which I entered playfully. I was just trying to trade, and that's how I got interested in it. I was there in Bangalore for a brief period of time. After 2009-10, when there was a recession, I felt the field was very speculative, and over the period, I wanted to move to a very secure and a very concrete business, which I found again real estate is a very attractive asset class. So that's when I met Shiva in 2011. So we had the convergence of thought. So that's how we joined DVEPL, and our career for last 13-14 years we are into real estate now.
Got it.
So together, cumulatively, you've been in the industry for about more than 15 years now.
Cumulatively,
Cumulatively in the sense
Previous companies.
Yeah, so
all the entire experience of real estate would be more than 20, 25 years together. Together?
For me, it's 18 years, and for Balaji, it should be
14 years.
Yeah. So,
Close to 30 years.
Yeah.
I was just doing a small study before we came in. From 2000 to 2023, the gold has had there's just a knowledge question which I wanted to share. The gold has had a CAGR of 12.3%. From 2000 to 2023. Nifty 50 has had a CAGR of 14.5%, if I'm not wrong. That's somewhere I read that. So real estate has been having a very variable CAGR. I think it is more dependent on the area specific it is. I know someone who bought a land for 70,000 and it is now valued at 20 lakh, and some people it is not appreciated much. So is real estate an asset which can be looked at for an investment perspective? What is your thought process for the youngsters?
Okay.
Because there is a taboo going around today with a lot of YouTubers coming and teaching people that real estate is not something, you should not buy a house until you're 40 years of age. Such kind of advices are going around in the internet. So what do you say? What is your take as real estate people on this kind of statements?
So I have been on both sides of the coin. So when I started off my career, I also was one of those people who was forced to buy a house or a plot at that point in time, which I couldn't do, and I bought it when I started my business. The other side is being in the business as a realtor. Your take on gold or Nifty, if you see the cumulative average global real estate growth is about 5.5%, 5.2% is in the last, say, 2022 to 2027, I think the world growth is only 5.2%. But India as such is at about 9.5% or 9.3%. 23 to 28, India has predicted CAGR of 9.3%. And from the year 2000 till today, the foreign direct investment in real estate is about $58 billion. That's, I think, roughly, I think 57, 58 could be here and there. But between 2000 and 2010, it was only $4.5 billion. Now, if you ask me gold, if you ask me insurance, if you ask me mutual fund, real estate is an asset that you hold for a long time in India, right? Indians have this mentality of not letting go of their asset for a certain value, right? If you see the US is not such. You'll buy a property today at X, tomorrow even if it's X less 10, I want the money so I'll trade it off and go. We are a very resilient market. We will not do that. So forget whether he's a youngster or an old age guy or whatever. He picks a property, he will never sell the property at a lesser price at any point of time. That's the Indian mindset. That's how resilient we are as a country. That's the thought process. So if you ask me, why should somebody invest in real estate, not in gold, not in mutual fund? As a realtor, I will only tell you come and invest in real estate. I will not ask you to invest in mutual fund but it's always better to have a diversified portfolio. Your portfolio should be diversified, right? This is a very secure asset class, if you ask me. So prices have rocketed in many areas. India as such is like that. Why this has happened is because of the urban agglomeration. People want to move from the villages to the city, right? So the city growth is very, very fast. Now we are seeing the reverse. People want to move from the city to the villages. So as long as this transition keeps happening, you will see the upsurge of prices. What time you enter matters very, very important in real estate. That's the same in Nifty. I've heard people say when the Nifty goes high, people buy.
Yeah.
When the Sensex falls,
yeah.
people tend to sell. That's the Indian mindset. But real estate is different. The advisor to you should say, sir, buy this property at this time. It'll appreciate X, 2X, 3X, whatever. May happen, may not happen. The time frame that he's going to specify, but the time to enter is always given well by the advisor. So, should have a good advisor for you in terms of entering into real estate. This is my thought process. I'll leave it to Balaji.
As the name says, real estate is the real asset. See, obviously, like gold and the stock market are other asset classes, but there is a saying, right? They don't make it anymore. Land is the land, irrespective of the population, growth, whatever it is. You have the limited supply of land. So, probably your operation decides on demand and supply. So the land is not made anymore. We have only the land which has been there for a long time. So I think that's if you look at it that way, then you can't compare anything with the real estate. Probably investment operation is one of the attributes, but real estate has other uses as well.
What does a normal guy not know about real estate? Because we see only the surface, right?
Correct.
We see houses, we see apartments, maybe we see some company that has a building. That, according to us, is a layman would see it that as a real estate. What else is real estate?
So I keep saying this everywhere. Sir. Where are you born? In a hospital?
Yeah.
Yeah, in a hospital. Yeah,
Where did you go to study?
in a school,
So where did you do your graduation?
in a college,
Post that, where did you seek a job?
maybe somewhere outside the
In an office space?
in office space.
Where do you go to watch movies?
Theaters,
Where do you go to eat?
hotels,
If you're sick again, where do you go?
hospitals.
Finally, when we are done and dusted,
Mm.
and the world says over, when we kick the bucket,
Mm.
where are we buried?
In a cemetery or
Crematory.
All this, the basis of all this is land.
Mm.
On the top of land, there is school, there is hospital, there's college, there's school, there's entertainment, whatever. So the beginning of everything is land. The food that you eat comes from land. So from beginning to end, there is land. So without land, there is nothing. So land becomes the most essential part of existence. We are saying 2/3 is water, 1/3 is land, right? So look at what 1/3 commodity brings to us in life. 2/3 because it's available, we are wasting. 1/3 because it is very less. We are trying to chase it, right? So I think that's the most important aspect to look at, because land covers everything. Although it's the basis of a human existence, which is food, clothing, and shelter, but land becomes the basis of anything. For a business expansion, for anything today, you need land. To launch a rocket, you need a station that's on land, right? So that's how land is. So we look at land as most important commodity for anything.
Yeah. So how does a person find a genuine, transparent realtor? How can one find? What are the traits?
Nowadays, things have changed. Like everything is there in the social media. Either to start with, they can start following realtors, their videos, their social media page. They can do some research about it, and they can meet them, understand what is the insights a real estate shares, and what is their requirement, whether their appetite is understood and properly shared, how are the ethics real estate is doing, and whether they are able to explain. Likewise, they can do some homework, and they can start it from there.
So couple of things, sir. To identify an advisor, whether it is real estate, whether it is anything, you look at credential first, which today is available on the internet. You look at whether this realtor, advisor is accredited to any government agency. Does he work under an association? So these are things that principally you have to look out for. But largely, any advice or any realtor comes from word of mouth. Anything is word of mouth. So what you should do, you should take the advice of one of your friends who has probably bought a property from an advisor, understand whether that advisor has helped him or not. Because conviction comes from close circles. So if your father is going to tell you, or your mother is going to tell you, or your friend is going to tell you, you believe that better than taking a call yourself. Putting yourself at risk if you want to take a call by yourself, then you'll go search the internet, identify, do this, do that. There are many internet portals that help you understand who a better advisor is. But largely, I would say take the word of mouth, because that is where conviction falls in. And when it's word of mouth, the gentleman who is the realtor will never go wrong, because he's been referred by X and he has his commitment to X. He needs to contribute well so that this gentleman Y also becomes his X. So that way, I think word of the mouth is the most important thought process.
So when it comes to real estate purchasing, sir, in general, any kind of, the government, I feel, is a big stakeholder in the transactions. What are all the charges that a government levies when you purchase a land or anything related to real estate? What should people know? Because if, let's say, I'm a newbie, or even if I'm experienced also, government rules keep getting updated or it changes, right? So what and all are the present in today's day and age, what and all people should be aware of, like what and all charges are there, which offices to approach, just for even if they take advice of a real estate professional also, for their own knowledge and awareness, what and all should they know?
Sir, every buyer, according to the government, is an innocent buyer. What are the different types of offices that you need to hit to purchase a property? What are the different types of fees that you need to pay? I'll start with what are the different types of offices that you need to engage with. Firstly, there is before registration, you call it the pre-registration activity. You need to have a good lawyer, because that advocate will help you understand whether this document is free of encumbrances and it is a marketable title. Number one. He will help you put a public advertisement to understand whether anybody has any interest on this property. Then, after the advocate office, you go to a document writer's office. Now, this document writer will prepare a document that will help you transact the property. Now, these two are individuals, not government entities. So, their fees will be dependent on the type of work that they have.
Whatever they charge.
Absolutely.
Professionally, whatever they charge.
So, this is pre-registration. Now, also, your question of why go to an advisor. A lawyer will only say marketable title. A document writer will only give a document that enables you to hold that property. But an advisor will come and tell you whether this property is held by the government. Is there a housing board acquisition on it? Or does the government have any Porambok land on it? Or does the property have any other kind of acquisition on it? So this is given by a clean, well-informed advisor. So this is pre-registration. All these three people charge you varying on the type of job that they have. The fees may vary with type of job that they have. Now, when you go for registration, you have three departments principally. The revenue department, the registration department, and the local planning authority. Now, you pay a stamp duty and a registration fee to the registration department. Now, the registration fees have come down. Earlier, it was 11%. It's come to 9%. It's 7 plus 2. That's the fees that has gone to in Tamil Nadu. And you go to the revenue department to understand something called as the patta or chitta. See, the document that you have is titled to ownership. It is a title document to ownership. Like how your Aadhaar card says, this is CB. So there's a photo, it says CB. But the patta is evidence to possession. So if the patta has CB's name, that means CB is in possession of this land for a certain period of time from whenever he bought it. So you need to have title, you need to have possession. So the patta is merely about 50 rupees or 30 rupees. Today you get it online also, sir. You can print it and take it, which is free of cost as long as you know the patta number. Then you have the local planning authority. If you intend to build a house, if you intend to build
something on
absolutely. You want to do anything on that, you go to the local planning authority, understand whether that is possible to do that on that particular land, and that land is classified in that particular manner. Now, for that, there is no fee. It is also available online. Now, all this, how did this happen? How did this everything become online? If you see, there's something, I remember 2013, there's this National Modernization Land Records program which happened in the central government time, I think 2013. That got largely implemented in many of the states. Tamil Nadu practically implemented this a couple of years before. Now, this enables the buyer to have so much transparency. You just sit, click, or go to a e-Seva center, click, understand. So there is everything that is transparent right in front of him, and that helps him understand whether this is right or wrong.
Make an informed decision.
Absolutely. So your question on types of offices, I've informed. The fee today is only applicable to the registration department. Post-registration is when all your fees comes in. When you go to the local planning authority or the local body, which is a corporation or a panchayat office or a municipality or a village panchayat, there the fee may differ, sir. It ranges from what you want to build to what type of square feet you have to build. So this is how fees are.
Whatever procedures you've told, is this applicable across India, or you're talking only in terms of Tamil Nadu real estate context, sir?
Land, you see, according to the constitution, is the stamp, although it's a central act, it's in the concurrent list. So what it does, the state has the power to change the stamp duty or whatever. Very interestingly, sir, the land in India is held by individuals, not owned by the government, other than the government lands. Whereas the other developed countries, you see, land is held by the government, which means the title is absolutely clear. The government takes ownership on title. Now, very interestingly, India is getting into this mode. If you buy a land, do you think the government will assure saying that SEBI bought this land? So any flaw, I will take responsibility. Will the government do that?
No.
The government is getting into that mode. So you will see India getting there in some, I don't know how many number of years, but we will see that. This has happened in Rajasthan. So the encumbrance certificate that you apply in the registration department, the encumbrance certificate says this is the last owner. But do you think that guy will be the owner? We don't know. That's only a certificate of evidence that says these are the properties that have been transacted. A has transacted to B. B as transactor to C. So that is what you get to understand. In Rajasthan, the government has come with a proposal saying that we will take ownership of the encumbrance certificate. So if there's a flaw, you can come and ask the government why this flaw was, why this happened. So slowly we will see this transition happening across the country. It's a matter of time. So every state is different. So if you go in Karnataka, there's a lady who buys a property, there's stamp duty waived. If you go to Maharashtra, the stamp duty is some 3% or 4%, less than 40 lakhs or whatever, if it's an affordable house bought by a lady. I think slowly all of this will happen across the country. But largely there is also another authority called the Real Estate Regulatory Authority, which is RERA, which got formed in 2016 in India. But that was a bill that was passed in 2009 or 2013 by Dr. Usha when she was in the Ministry of Housing Affairs. So she passed this bill, and then 2016 it got implemented in India. Subsequently, most of the states implemented, except for the newly formed states that include your Telangana. And West Bengal also did something called HERA, West Bengal Housing Regulatory Act, or something called WB HERA. That's what they did. So all of the states have implemented RERA. Now what does RERA do? RERA gives tooth to both the consumer. It gives tooth to the consumer, not to get cheated by the builder or the broker. So that way, or the realtor. So that way, most of these regulatory authorities will help us do seamless activity in the country. So fee may not be equal, sir. Fee will remain different because that's a matter of the state. But processes may become equal in the coming days to come. Yeah. Balaji, you have any take on this?
No. As you said, each sector has its own departments. Like industrial sector, you have the pollution control board, electricity board, water. Like each sector has its own. So on the average, we have about 10 to 12 departments, which is relative to real estate.
As you brought forward, I have a small question. So this, you build something on the top of land, you will need supplies of water, you will need supplies of electricity. Does it come under the township planning department itself, or again those are the offices that someone has to knock again in India? How is it?
Very interestingly, sir, in India, we talk of a single window system in India in most of the states. Very unfortunate, we have a single window and multiple doors.
That's
the problem.
That is where we were getting it. Yeah.
The idea is you go to LPA or you go to the local planning authority, the town planning authority. He is only permissible to issue you a technical sanction, meaning you can build like this, your building should be like this, or you should have
these are the dimensions.
These are the dimensions. These are the setbacks you should follow. That is his prerogative. Now, if you want water, you go to the local body, which is not the planning department. You go to the corporation, say, I want water. Now it's
EB. You have
to go to them. Now, LPA by itself has to become such an authority. That's what I think we are envisaging in the future, where they will say, I will not let you do a residential layout here because there is lack of water. People coming, once you plot here, people don't have water. How will they survive? So I'm not letting you do this development here.
And not only give approval for the building.
Absolutely. Not only do that. So I think that's one, the master plan in Coimbatore, which is supposed to change in the last 30 odd years. Our master plan was formed in 1994 and we've not yet changed. But the government has taken a step where we have changed it. We have published the draft. I think in a few months to come, the master plan will get into action. These are things that the government has to put forth. They should collaborate with the developer, the architect, the realtor, the builder, the electrical engineer, everybody, and make a cohesive system that helps somebody live a peaceful and happy life. Because what do you need? You need water, you need good air, you need EB,
power,
and you need motorable roads.
Yeah.
Right? So this is very important. So the government has to ensure that this is given to the citizen. And LPA can be a department that can play this role.
You had mentioned that it is a single window with multiple doors, right? Real estate in general, I feel there is a lack of transparency as with other industries, because a normal consumer, a normal purchaser who wants to buy a land or any sort of asset will be simply overwhelmed by the amount of processes that a real estate a transaction based on a real estate transaction. Why do you feel this is so? And is there a lack of regulation? What is happening there? I just wanted to understand. From a real estate professional, I just wanted to understand.
While I agree to you that transparency is an issue, you must also understand that it's a very complicated subject.
Correct.
By virtue of real estate being historically like this in India, that it has transferred from A to B to C to D, and as you see, a country that has about 142 crore people with so much land available, so much land records available, it is always going to be a complicated issue. It can never become easy. The only, and I would appreciate the government in coming forth to actually trying to make this transparent. They're giving you data which shows who's the owner. Now, if you see, they're going to come up with something called as Bhumi Aadhar. okay, which will have a 14-digit number, which will be an alphanumeric, right? So tomorrow if SEBI has a land and SEBI is in America and SEBI's children, SEBI is here but SEBI's children are in America and SEBI wants to transfer this property, whereas SEBI's children don't know where the property is. Now this Bhu Aadhaar will help. You must understand that this is a subject that will only evolve over time.
Okay.
And you and me must be very happy that we are in the evolution stage.
We're at an inflection point.
Absolutely. So that will only go up. The level of transparency will only go up. It will not come down from here because already the benchmark has been set. That's why you see states competing. If you go to all the state indicators, some states say, I have 56 applications that help real estate. 56 applications. That is, could be approval made online, could be, finding of guideline value. If you go to Hyderabad, interestingly, there is this company that I want to mention here called Land Deed, which is by Sanjay Mandava, the gentleman called Sanjay Mandava. He founded the company. You see what Sanjay Mandava does is he has GIS. On your Google map, he will put grids. And on the grid, if you click, it will give you the entire history of a property. Like who owns it, what survey number is it, which mandal is it, or which taluk is it, etc., etc., etc. So PropTech in India is taking a shape where it is going to give everything to everybody. But still, why do you need advice? Is to understand that bit of complexity.
That final bit of complexity.
Correct. So that is what. So I would, while I agree to you, there is less transparency and all that, but we are moving to a stage where in the next 10 years, 10 years is too far a time in any industry. In the next 5 years, I see we will be at a stage where everything is transparent, everything is available for everybody. It's just that you need to take the call, whether you want to do it or not.
Whether you want to purchase or not. Despite although it appears it lacks transparency today, eventually in 5 to 10 years time,
correct,
it will. That is where it is heading, you're saying.
Absolutely. So 2007, RERA got implemented in Dubai. In India, it got implemented in 2016. Now, if 2007
RERA is like a common act across
the globe. Across the globe. So this is to regulate real estate. Most of the African countries also, the Zambia, South Africa, all of these guys also implemented RERA. So you see, where there is complexity, you need like Balaji was mentioning, many departments are there. Like that, RERA is the one department that you can go to for any fight. Saying that, I was cheated by the builder, I was cheated by the broker. So you have an agency, right, where you can go cry. Now, 2007, it came in Dubai. And you must understand that is a very transparent process. In Dubai, the land is held by the government. By the monarch. Right?
Monarch, yeah.
So, what kind of development should have come in Dubai? Dubai went through 2 recessions. Although they spoke about global village, although they spoke about a lot of things, now Dubai is witnessing a spurt of growth. What is it? People are looking at it as a luxury and safe destination. Right?
Yeah.
But do you think that will kind of continue on that thought process of people going there and investing? Do you think that will continue? I don't know.
I don't think it will last for very long.
Yeah.
time.
You will only come to a market which is stable.
There is no surety.
You will only come to a market which is stable. So stability is very, very important in a market. So that is why you talk about the 4 factors, like the best factors, the political, economical, social, technological factors, right? India is at a growth of all these factors. So you would want to run on a plane that is taking off. Not on a plane that has taken off, come down, right? Although I understand the industry goes through a cycle, every country goes through a cycle, right? So your question on transparency is, we are reaching the peak of transparency. I don't know number of years though.
Matter of time.
Absolutely.
So, you were talking about the government being the industry becoming more and more transparent, and seeking the help of realtors or advisors will help it here. And we were also discussing about the timing of the investment in the real estate. Will the advisor be able to take a right call with respect to both timing and the transparency going forward? When someone takes a call to invest in real estate just for the appreciation in the asset value, do you think a realtor will be able to do that?
Yeah, realtor role comes into play in that only.
Okay.
See, real estate investment is one of the bigger decisions of one's life. Like after marriage, education, real estate investment is one of the biggest and most expensive decision one will make in anybody's life. Yeah. And other than that, it's very sentimental. Like you have emotions, fear, hope,
Greed.
greed. Everything is there. So everything comes into play, and it's not like very white. Like how in stock market you have PE ratio, you have book value.
Correct.
Like it's not listed. So it's all in gray. So actually the advisor role comes here. So he has to advise on insights of the market, dynamics of the market, what's the future, and what's the challenges which is going to be in the market. So that's where I think they should take the expertise and real estate, and also combined with the common sense. See, common sense is not common in real estate. Most of the people know.
That is common in everywhere, no? Almost all industries we see that.
Yeah. So I think the real role comes into play for real estate is taking the inputs of a realtor.
So you were talking about some terminologies, government terminologies like encumbrance and guideline value. So can you be slightly elaborate on that for the benefit of audience?
Okay.
What are all the key lingo, real estate lingo that people should know?
There are 3 basic elements before purchasing a land. One is title deed.
Okay.
As I was explaining to you, title deed is the ownership of the property. It will tell you who owns the property. That could be a sale deed. That could be a partition deed.
This is common for commercial.
Everything.
Any type of real estate.
That could be a partition deed. That could be a sale deed. That could be a settlement deed. That could be by way of a will.
Okay.
So, lot of these documents are testimony to somebody owning a property. So, that's called a title deed. Then second comes patta, chitta. Earlier days it was called patta because it was manual. Now it's become chitta because it's computerized.
This is common across the country.
So, you go to Karnataka, it will be called khata.
Okay.
You go to some other state, it will be called something else.
But the theme is the same.
Absolutely.
Correct.
So, you go to Maharashtra, they call it the Satbara, which is like an extract. 712. Satbara. Because it's Hindi, they say Satbara.
Correct. Right.
Then you should also know 3 points, as I said, is the classification of the land. Very important. To see whether it's residential, commercial, whatever, when you're getting into development.
Right.
Okay.
These 3 things you should principally understand. Then, when you're going to buy a property, you need to understand what is the guideline value. In certain places, it's called guidance value. Certain places, it's called government value. So, principally,
Generally,
what the government fixes is different from what the market asks. Most of these places, the government and the market will not be equal. Some places, government and market will be equal. What the government tries to do is by way of reaching a certain median value,
Common ground.
they will go inquire a lot of people before fixing this government value, that's the guideline value. They will actually take stock of it from most of the stakeholders. They will go meet realtors, they will go meet builders, they will go meet contractors, they'll understand what the price is, then come to a conclusion. So there is a survey done to understand this. They will take inputs of most of the associations to do this. So that is why the government is able to fix this thing.
But what do you feel? There is still always a clash going on for the guideline value. Government fixes one thing and the people that market value doesn't. There is a conflict there.
Timingly, there was a revision in guideline value. Yesterday it was released, right? The new guideline value has been released.
No, we don't know. Okay.
So there will be a conflict. Always there will be a conflict.
There is always that mismatch.
There will be a conflict. So if that conflict is not there, then this becomes a smooth process, right? So it is always better to have this kind of a conflict because that gives you a chance to improvise.
Okay.
Right? So the government does not arbitrarily believe that, okay, whatever decision we are taking is right. Or whatever decision we are taking is wrong. So there is always a discussion.
A push and pull.
So that I think the vox populi is very important that way. So the voice of the people is very important, right? If the government is fixed it high, all of us have the right to go and say, you fixed it high.
And the government is working for the people.
We want it to be lowered, which is what Balaji was trying to say. They lowered it, then they increased it.
Okay.
Because I understand where this comes from is to maybe they want to curtail the amount of cash that is involved in transactions. So slowly, as we evolve, that also would be cut down is the thought process. So that is guidance value or government guideline value.
Circle rate.
Yeah. So a lot of these things. Lot of terminology.
Basically, what the government fixes and what the market demands.
Correct. Encumbrance certificate, as you asked me, is to tell A transacted to B in this year, this property.
Okay.
Very simply. Who sold to who? Or who partition this property to who in this year, and what was the property's dimension, length, etc., and totals to what extent. This is encumbrance, very simply. To understand it, very simply.
Like a history?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Any transaction.
You're perfectly right.
Mortgage, all the transactions, everything will be.
Every transaction will be covered in
You're perfectly right. It's a history of transaction.
So, coming back to this guideline or guidance value, that is the least amount of cost at which you can sell a land, right?
Perfect. You added to it.
Yeah. So, my doubt is, let us look at any product around us. You can take this microphone, light, whatever is around us. There is no upper cap. The manufacturer fixes the prices of the product that he's selling, or whoever is selling.
Correct.
The seller fixes the price. There is no body to control it. That is business. Is it the same in real estate, or there is a cap?
There's no cap.
There is no cap.
There is only MSP, minimum selling price.
Okay, there is no maximum selling price.
Yeah.
Okay. So we were talking about so much of resistances there in the with so many 3 different bodies coming inside. Then there are multiple doors to build something on a land. For a common man, for a common Indian citizen, if he has to face so many challenges, I'm getting slightly deeper. What are the challenges that foreign multinationals would have faced when they wanted to build a company in
Let's say FDA
India?
comes in. Suppose in a state like Tamil Nadu, FDA inflows are very high. A company from, let's say, Vietnam wants to invest in Tamil Nadu. Okay, how do they go about? How does a foreign investor or anybody that wants to do a commercial activity within India approach land purchase, the approvals?
I think you have worked with a few, if I'm not wrong.
So, sir, there is something called Invest India. There's a forum called Invest India. If you want to come to India, what happens is India has multiple agencies that will guide you through the processes in different states. Tamil Nadu has Tamil Nadu Guidance Bureau. So, Tamil Nadu Guidance Bureau guides the investor to get his sanctions in a certain manner.
Okay.
They facilitate it
Okay.
to make it very easy. See, for a common man and the difference between an investor, both are equally important to the government, right? So, for the common man, there is always an engineer who is certified by the government, called the licensed building surveyor, LBS. They call LBS or whatever. So, the government certifies him to facilitate the approval in a particular local body, or say, for example, LPA. So, it is the responsibility of that engineer to advise the individual to get sanctioned in a particular manner, right? So, your job is to only identify the LBS. Whereas, for like if he says a company from Vietnam wants to come, then the Tamil Nadu Guidance Bureau will explain the whole process of how to own land, what are the different types of land available, whether it's available to the government body, whether SIPCOT has land. The SIPCOT is another agency, the SIDCO is another agency. These are all agencies that develop land and give it to industrial bodies to set their factory so that they don't go through the hassle of buying land.
Okay.
So, every
Specialized economic zones.
so that specialized economic zones is classified by the central government, not by the state government. Now, earlier they had a cap of 10 hectares for IT. They had a lot of cap. Now, see, this was again revised. Last period, they called it the Desh Act. The SEZ Act became Desh Act. I think that is Delivery of Services Hub or something like that. I'm not, but it was called the Desh Act. Then they revamped it again to the SEZ Act. Now, in the SEZ, it's very important that you export 100%.
Correct.
That also they brought it down this year, saying that even if there is domestic production, let it be an SEZ. So these are these special economic zones are places where you have a customs in-house. All these things are done in-house because that's being exported, right? Now the government has come up and said, no. Even if your domestically consumption is for domestic, manufacturing is for domestic consumption, it's okay. So they are re-regulating the act. So that's a different zone. But that also helps for this company.
Of course,
if it's very specific, if he's only into export and stuff like that, then he can go.
They want to produce in India and export
absolutely.
outside.
So he can be
catering to the
so this
domestic
Vietnam
demand.
company, if you wanted to be there, he can go find any of these special economic zones and be there. But he's only a pure play industrial guy trying to manufacture only for India. Then he can go to this SIPCOT, LCOT, and Karnataka. You have the Karnataka KIDB, Karnataka Industrial Development Board.
Maharashtra, MIDC is there.
In Andhra Pradesh, you call the APIAC, Andhra Pradesh Industrial Investment Corporation. So every state has this. So they try to ease So that's why they say ease of doing business in
Correct.
India.
Right.
You try to grow up that stage. So that way, you protect the foreign national as equally as the Indian citizen.
Indian citizen.
Right. So it's we cannot blatantly point a finger and say that the government is not doing this. The government is enabling many people to do this.
Enabling the states to effectively
Enabling
do this, sir?
engineers, enabling architects. These are people who should advise the citizen. That's why they give him that certificate.
Right.
And these agencies are enabled by the government to help the foreign investors.
And there are acts like FEMA and all which protects the rights of the foreign investors also, right? Foreign Exchange Management Act.
Oh, can you expand upon that, sir?
FEMA,
What is
Foreign
that?
Exchange Management Act.
Okay.
What does that?
I think that guides like how much they can invest. They shouldn't invest in agricultural land. They should invest in industrial land or commercial land and what they can develop. Like it shouldn't be speculative. It should create so much of economic activity. It should create so much of employment activity.
These are government guidelines that.
This act covers all the policies in it.
Okay.
So FEMA and FERA are two acts. FEMA is Foreign Exchange Management Act and you have Foreign Exchange Regulation Act. What the government tries to say is that up to a certain quantum of money can be directly invested by the foreign investor.
Okay.
I don't remember the quantum. I don't want to give you a wrong quantum. I don't know whether it's 500 crores or 600 crores. So up to that kind of money could be invested directly. That's called the automatic route. Where, for example, Vignesh is stationed in Dubai and he wants to invest about 600 crores in Indian real estate. He can directly send the money to Balaji and say, Balaji, 600 crores invest. The quantum could be wrong. Please check the quantum.
Okay.
But beyond that quantum, you have to go to RBI, the Reserve Bank of India, and say, I'm interested in doing real estate in India and this is the quantum of money that I have. So you take permission from them. So these acts or these bodies are another overseer of whether this money is coming from the right route. You understand? You don't want, any country does not want terror money to flow in. Any country does not want drug money to flow in.
Correct.
So that is why they have these kind of acts to prevent any kind of activity where somebody makes a profit, takes it back to thought processes of that kind of nature that puts the country in danger.
National security.
Absolutely. Right.
Another general question, which is out of the topic. I have a cousin who lives in the US. So the investment to the ROI that he gets out of rent is much higher in US compared to what you get in India. You know, a 2 crore worth property in Chennai fetches you a rent of 25K per month. The ratio is, I think it's less than 1% per year. So why do you think this is happening in this country, and your take on this? And will this improve going forward?
So the national average in India on residential is about 4 to 5%.
Okay.
That is very good in cities like Bangalore, to a certain extent in cities like Chennai, in cities like Mumbai. It's very good. The commercial average is between 6 to 8%. The national average.
Of the property value.
Of the property value. Now, but you come to Coimbatore or something like that, you'll be operating at 2 to 3%. Why does this happen? Primary reason is land value increases substantially in India. The increase of land value is so substantial that you cannot put a pause and say, stop. But if you see in the US, I said, that's why I told you in my earlier question, India is a very resilient market.
Okay.
We will not sell land at less than X. But in US, I'll sell it less than X. I must have bought it at X. I'll say, okay, X less 10. Give me the money today.
I don't treat it as a lifetime asset.
Absolutely. I want my money today. Right? They're a spending economy. We are a mixed economy. We were a saving economy. We're moving to a mixed economy. Right? So for us, resilience plays, this character of the Indian market is such that we are resilient. We will hold on to our property but not sell it less. Only when it increases substantially, put it out of the market. What does that do? That brings down the return on investment significantly lower. But you see, there are a lot of fractional real estate companies that offer you today 10%, offer you 12%, offer you 9%. So there are products in the market that offer you 9 to 12%. Would you, if I have to tell you, in Delhi, a company by name DLF, they're called Delhi Land Finance, that's DLF, launched a project, sold 1,137 apartments in 72 hours, worth 8,000 crores. An apartment cost exceeding 70 crores. Now, this kind of investment is happening in India, right? US is a very mature market. India, would you believe, if I say 70 crores in Coimbatore, I bought an apartment, people say, you're joking, boss. It can't be like that.
Correct.
But even in Coimbatore today, apartment costs you somewhere close to 12 crores, 14 crores. There are apartments. There are buildings, not apartments, but there are buildings that will cost you. Somebody launched a project very recently on Avinash Road about 5 crores or 5.5 crores.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
So if you see, we are also reaching that. Basis of which, what will happen if you put it out on rent? I buy it for end consumption. But when I put it out on rent, I can only expect somebody to pay 30,000 or 50,000 on it, right? So your rental yield becomes lesser. But nevertheless, there are products in India. There are fractional real estate companies that offer you 8-10%. There are a lot of companies that. Why do you think significant inflow of real estate happens every year? $4 billion of foreign investment comes into real estate alone. So when I say 2000 to 2010. The first 10 years, I think India clocked about $4.5 billion of FDI. That's the value. That's it. But you see, today, we're talking about $56 or $55 billion of money in the Indian real estate market. So people want to come. It's not that they don't want to come. But they come through different routes. Not invest and look at returns. They will look at a large guy who will invest for them, make the return, give it for them.
And also, in US, the real estate is 70, 80 years old market.
Correct.
For us, it's a very young market. We are just 20, 25 years old market. So there, the graph is almost like saturating.
Correct.
But here we are growing. So that's why you feel the land prices have gone up.
And does population also play a role here? Population and a lot of foreign companies giving employment to more people here. Does all those things play a role in this? Or
It definitely does, because when you have more the number of people, more the merrier. Yeah. Right? That's always a law. Okay. But if you see, US is less population but more land. For India's size, they are 3 times India's land. Correct? Their population is less than what we are 142 crores. They must be somewhere around 70, 80. I think the half of India's population. That's how much they are.
They are around 30 crores.
So 1/4 of what we are. I don't know, whatever number, 30 crores. They're very less. Land mass is 3 times than what India has. In spite of all that, they are a mature market. They give you more. Adding on to what we are speaking now, if you see the future of real estate today lies in something called REETS, the Real Estate Investment Trust. We started very recently. In India. The market size of the US REITs is about 1 trillion.
What is REIT, sir?
REITs is Real Estate Investment Trust. It is simply something like if you want to buy a stock, you go to the market and buy a stock. Stock market and buy a stock. Earlier it was you go to the stock market, shout, somebody gives you a coupon, you buy that and come. All that transfers, SEBI regulated it. They said, no, you come online, everything is online, boss, all that is done. Same way the SEBI is regulating something called Real Estate Investment Trust. Now the Real Estate Investment Trust has to go to SEBI and say, my objective is to develop, build and put it out on the market for people to absorb. So as less as 500 rupees, earlier it was 5,000, I think now even at 500 rupees, you can buy one unit. Now this will give you a dividend, like how the stock market does.
It's like a exchange traded instrument, is it?
ETFs.
It is like a ETF.
Yeah, would say, because the REITs has again 3 models. REITs has something called equity REIT. There's something called mortgage REIT. And you have hybrid REIT. In an equity REIT, you need to buy, you need to develop and you need to list. That's an equity REIT.
Oh, okay.
But if you look at a mortgage REIT, it's principally something that will fund an asset and earn the interest.
Okay.
You understand? So that technically does not match. I don't think that's anywhere else. I think we in US it's there, the UK is there. I think Singapore, I don't know, but India has it. You have hybrid also, where I invest in both. Mixed. But in equity, you need to be somebody who will develop the asset and put it on the available for somebody to pick it up in the market. So that's the thought process of REIT. Very, very nascent in India, sir.
Very nascent.
Yeah. I think
it's a very recent instrument, I guess.
Yeah,
but
hardly
in simple terms, like the REIT is like you want to invest in commercial real estate, but you want to generate income out of it. Like in market like Coimbatore, minimum we need 3-4 crores to start investing in real estate.
A normal person cannot go build a mall.
Yeah, a person with 5 lakh, 10 lakh, 15 lakh cannot participate in it.
Correct.
So they can use this as an opportunity where the entry level barrier is not there. You can start with something small, then you can gradually go up.
You can get a taste of how the real estate market functions.
Correct.
Exactly.
So our knowledge on this is very poor. So So if you see, very recently, I think
you can now find it on our market, sir? REITs?
Yes, sir. Yeah. So last 6 months or 8 months, India also opened up something called SME REITs.
Okay.
Small, medium REITs, which is 25 crores you can list.
Okay.
Even have 100 rupees you can go buy. So the ticket size has become less. The unit size.
25 crores of property value.
Absolutely. So there is a property that yields the rent, and then that's 25 crores. You list it.
Okay.
So you go to the, I think they give you, it's, so typically, I'll tell you, I read it somebody told me this. So there is a trustee, there is a truster, and there's a third party who gets benefited because of this. That's what REIT is.
Okay.
So somebody trusts you by giving a building. You are the trustee of that building. Somebody pays for you to buy that. So that third party benefits. That's how REITs function.
The third party facilitates the transaction.
No. The third party is the guy who invests. It's not the third party who facilitates the transaction. So it's the trustee and the truster. I think it's a fiduciary arrangement. In the transaction terms, that's what we use. So 25 crores, you can list a property. So example, I have a property, 25 crores. I list it in the market. I take money from you. I put it into the market. It yields a return. I give it back to you. This is what REITs
That's
says.
dividends.
Absolutely. So today we are at 20 billion or something like that. That's the size of it. I could be wrong. Yeah, I think
It's still very less, no?
very, very less. 1 trillion, where are we?
Yeah. It's
UK
very
is
less.
about 800 billion.
Correct.
Singapore
Peanuts, actually.
Yeah. So for Indian size, it's very less. But interestingly, all these fractional real estate companies that came into existence, all of them have been asked to move to SEBI. All of them have been asked to change the mode so that
it gets more
regularized.
Okay.
Absolutely. So that's what is moving to. So we are at a very, very interesting stage. That
because of that amount of regulation and transparency, only these sort of financial transactions are possible.
Absolutely.
Than a normal route.
Absolutely.
So when it moves to SEBI, all the documents go and sit in the depositories.
Absolutely.
Which makes it safe for the citizens to invest in.
Absolutely.
Yeah, they regulate.
It comes under that
they
umbrella,
oversee,
right?
Yeah.
Instead of a document, it goes and sits like a depository document.
No, everybody agrees that everything is safe.
Absolutely.
Correct? No, not like your normal.
It creates an environment for somebody having 5-10 lakhs to invest and take return without going through this complicated process.
Correct.
It's a very easy process. I bought so many units. I'm expecting this kind of a dividend. Simple.
But I think the liquidity still is less.
Has to improve.
It has to
In South,
improve.
you have embassy, like many corporates who are already ventured. I think in coming years we will see more of.
But still, all the big corporate players have to get in. All the big asset management companies, if they start getting in, liquidity will come.
They will come and they will come.
Like if you're offering a new mutual fund, NFO they launch. You don't see that much of promotion for. There is some promotion, but not to the level of a financial instrument.
I think people who follow market deeply will get to know these things.
Absolutely.
It doesn't come on the public
domain.
Correct.
But it has to go to the public domain because
That
then
is
it
the end
enables
objective. That is the
everybody.
end objective.
For somebody drawing 15,000 rupees salary,
It's very
for him
difficult.
real estate is always a dream, sir.
Correct.
In this way, he wants to take away 2,000 rupees and say, I own one portion of that building. That kind of gives me more aspiration, right?
Correct.
Then I'll say I own one floor.
At least you can see something physical.
Absolutely,
You don't see that in stocks.
Correct.
Gradually, I think this will happen. See, like IPO, it was like that. No, there were incidents like where the 10 continuous IPOs wasn't undersubscribed. And over the period, every IPO was a hit.
Correct.
I think things will gradually happen for it also.
It is an evolution.
Yeah, it's evolution.
It's an evolution.
So, just a question. Now, earlier we used to have physical stocks, right? Share market, we used to have physical stocks earlier, and then we the government bought in a body called depository, and we started making all into
Digital
LCD stocks. We started having something like this. Do you expect will happen in real estate where all the stamp paper, nothing is needed, document, everything will go and stay in a depository? Something
Is there
a possibility for that to happen?
Very interesting question. It has already happened.
Okay.
So we move to a stage where you don't have to buy stamp paper. You can always go and say, I want to do digital.
Oh.
But as you said in your previous portion of this segment, you said the knowledge is limited. So that's why only people who know the stock market will be able to understand REIT. The same way, the knowledge on digitization of things is not percolated deeply. And you see, mostly, as I keep telling, India is a resilient market. We are also very conservative. Correct.
We are a trust deficient.
Absolutely. So the two most important things that today any business lacks is trust and dignity.
Correct.
Because all this is translated to value. Earlier, 30 years before, if I had to transact a property with you, I will look at the face value of Vignesh and say, boss, you come from a very good family. I know you will pay me.
I know you. I know,
your family. Don't worry. I will give you the property. Done.
It was handshake
today,
agreement, no?
Today, Vignesh, I must know Vignesh. He must have studied with me in the same class. But he'll come to buy a property from me. I will write 100 things that you'll come to the court of Bombay to deal with this because I'll be sitting in Bombay. Then you will appoint a lawyer who will only in Bombay. So look at the lack of trust. I'm not saying only in real estate. I'm saying the lack of trust is there in everything. Look at the document.
Generally.
Why do you think so many law firms are surviving? Because you and me have lack of trust. Obviously, somebody has to secure their trust, right? So that's why you believe that gentleman. Coming back to the question of why these things are not there, we are a conservative society. We don't want to move to things that will probably affect change on me like this. I want to see that document. I want to physically hold that document. That's why I understand, okay, I own that 5.5 cents of land and that is translated through this, right? I don't want to digitize. I don't want to see this digitized. There will be a day. The government will say, boss, holding of all these papers is enough. Digitization is the way forward. You need to digitize your document. So a digitization of documents by virtue of a business is a huge business. There are many Japanese firms in India that do digitization of documents. So, for example, a lot of companies are there that build, right? So they need to execute sale deed documents. They need to do all of that. Where will they go keep all these documents? So they have a company that will safeguard all this for them. And whenever required, that will be taken back and given to them. Interestingly, in Maharashtra, there's something that's happening. There's something called primary and secondary. Primary is the first product that has been built on land. So you build an apartment. That's called primary sale.
First time.
When SEBI buys from me, first time, that's primary. When SEBI has bought it and Vignesh buys it from SEBI, it's called secondary. So in a primary sale where a builder is developing, the buyer need not go to the sub-register office. He can sit in the builder's office and register the document.
Okay.
So look at evolution. Otherwise, we had to go to the sub-register office. This happened during COVID because Maharashtra is one of the biggest markets for India in real estate. We peg ourselves with Mumbai. Seeing what has happened in Mumbai is a trend that will probably affect the whole of the country.
That is not the case, no? Though, is it?
No, see, why we look at that is because if stamp duty realization is less in Mumbai, if units have sold less in Mumbai, then that will actually reflect in most of the states.
It's like a barometer for the market.
Absolutely, perfectly said. So during COVID, they didn't want to bring down the business. So they said a buyer can go to a developer's office and register. So see, you evolve only during these kind of situations, right? So
in developed countries like UK, it's already happening. See, my friend recently bought a house. Right. He didn't meet the seller. And he didn't go to the house also. The document actually came through the mail. Okay. The settled happened through an attorney.
Yeah.
So in developed countries, it's already in place. Like the transactions all by email only. They don't have any bunch of documents. It's just a mail. So I think something similar, but it will take time for us to.
Even in the US, one of my cousins just recently shifted back to India. They rented it out without seeing who they are renting it out to. So it's all done
by the realtor.
It's all done by the very organized.
They have an open house. The open house is a day.
He was telling me it is safer for me to go through a realtor than directly. Whereas here it is opposite.
Interestingly, what they do is in India, if you see, you have a key.
Correct.
You need to deposit the key with me. Tomorrow there will be a duplicate of the key with somebody else. Right? All these problems are there. So in the US, interestingly, if you see, you own a property and I am a realtor. So they have a lock. And the lock has a certain code.
That is what he told me.
So I just have to call you and say, sir, can you just tell me the OTP? I just enter and go. I don't have to wait for the key. And as a realtor, you give me a certain date saying that, Shiva, this is available for you on this day. So I will put it out on my social media pages everywhere saying 9 to 10 in the evening, this is open. Everybody will come and see. And then
open house.
Something like open house. So you come and see this. That's what happens. India will also evolve. I'm not saying no. But the trust has to happen. The trust thing has to happen. So that's why I said, when you asked me the first question of advisor, word of mouth is more trust. Credential and all that. Correct. Credential and all that could tick. But first is word of mouth. Vignesh says, go to Balaji. He's the most dependent person on real estate. Then CP will come here. Correct. Rather than both of you going on the internet and checking somebody's credentials, if you had a first-hand experience, and that's not every first-hand experience is happy.
Correct.
At least satisfactory. You'd say, go there, boss. He'll take care. He will not cheat you. Rest assured. Done. If it's fee, I will negotiate it for you because I have already done a transaction with him. That's where it boils down. As long as he's safe, then so that's why I said they'll link down to most of these questions that we asked.
So, sir, we were having a discussion on the way. You were talking about aggregating land and providing land as a bigger plot for companies who are planning to invest in India. How do you do that? What exactly is land aggregation?
Land aggregation is like, say, when you want to do a project in Coimbatore or Chennai, anywhere, maybe your requirement is for 50 acres. And land holding as such in the nature is like, it's all independent. One will hold 1 acre, one will hold 50 cents, and one family will hold 10 acres.
It's fractured.
Completely. It's all fractional. So it's very difficult for any company which is from outside Tamil Nadu to come and understand, meet each family member and to take up the project. So that's where they identify and give us a mandate to work on such projects. They ask us to identify land parcels of 25 acres, 50 acres. They will define their purpose, like they want to do a factory, they want to do a warehouse. Then we'll understand the nitty-gritties of the land, complexity of it. We'll identify industrial lands or non-plan area lands. We go and meet the owners. So likewise, we handle all the policies and all the process in it.
You do all the background checks.
Exactly. All the legal challenges, price, and they will define us the budget also, like what is the price range they want to do that. So we understand that requirement. We identify the land parcels. We do the homework, and we meet all the VAOs, all the stakeholders in it. So we consolidate land and we give it to the developer or the company.
How long does it take, sir, such a process? If a company approaches you, generally how long if they want 2 acres of land, let's say in Avinashi Road, for example, how do you go about it? How do you approach you? And 2 acres is within city, if you want to get, it is a big task, no? It's fully scattered. What is the steps you take?
So, if you see a land transaction, as I told you, both pre and post. What we do as an organization is, we do both the pre and the post. So when you come and tell us that you want 2 acres of land, you'll have an objective to it. For example, you'd want to build a mall, you'd want to build a hospital. So the advantage of coming to us is, we will do the forward arrangement for you. Meaning, we will say how you should plan.
Right.
So if that plan suits with the plan that you have in mind, then you will say, we'll choose this land.
Okay.
Correct? So then we go work backwards. So the forward answer is drawn first. Then you come reverse. When Balaji said warehouse, so that warehouse needs to be in a certain area, right? He'd say 5 lakh square feet, 4 lakh square feet. So we'll draw that plan, understand whether that suits to the customer's need. Any land aggregation may take a minimum of 3 months to a maximum of 8-9 months. But when corporates come to you, they say we want it yesterday.
Correct.
So that's the formula.
That's the
nature of things as such. So they put pressure on you, and when they get to know that you are covering an area that will invariably give them a benefit on land, they will just slow pedal. They'll say no problem, take your time.
Once they realize that importance,
once they realize that is the area that is growing, and without doing a development, land has increased, and that has added to their book value, they will soft pedal you. They'll say, okay, it's okay. You've already got us 30 acres. We just asked for another 5 more. You take your time. Because 30 has already given them that increased asset value that they thought of. So anywhere between 3 to 1 year is but not for a substantial piece of land like 100 acres or something. That'll take
that'll take you
a lot of time. Yeah.
There is a lot of buzz saying that this kind of transactions happen with black money and all those things. But is it applicable even for all the MNCs that are investing? What percentage of real estate is actually black money, sir? I wanted to understand.
So it's the outer perception, at least, is that it's a way of laundering money.
Yeah.
Generally, right? Generally,
you're absolutely right. So,
what is your
absolutely.
take?
So people have varied perceptions. For every industry that's there.
Every industry.
And real estate is large. The magnifying glass is large. That's why when you say real estate, people either shrug their shoulders and say real estate, or people say real estate.
What are the common inhibitions that you see? Buyer
inhibition is what you rightly said.
Yeah.
The amount of black money that flows in as an individual who doesn't understand blacks, who only has worked as a salaried employee in a bank, who only understands this is my monthly salary, my tax goes, I only have this much. How would he generate black? That's an inhibition, number one. Number two, he's coming to one guy who speaks saying, sir, this land belongs to that man. When you come, you have to speak to him like this. When you speak, so somebody is school teaching you the whole process. Now that is something very, very new for you, right? So you meet a third person who schools you on this entire process, which not many people will like.
Correct.
Where when you're going to buy a plot from somebody, there is this advisor who sits next to you and says, no, sir, you talk to him like this, you talk to him like that, don't do this at this point of time. So
this government agency, you have to do this. Correct.
So this inhibition is already created in you. Generally, human mindset is such. When I create fear, I think there is an opportunity for me. Right? That's what human mindset is. Anybody does the same. Right? COVID, what do they say? You have to vaccinate yourself, otherwise. Correct?
We are not responsible.
We don't know.
We don't know.
We don't know,
happen,
right? We don't know. But the government said this is a safety measure to keep yourself alive. And you took that and took a shot. Right? Similarly, for example, you go and buy a mutual fund. He'll say, boss, this will grow 10 times. If it doesn't grow 10 times, he'll say your capital is there. It didn't erode, right? It's always there. Why are you bothered? Tomorrow the capital erodes. He'll say, do you think I'm running the company? You invested in. So everywhere you must understand, when I create that inhibition in you, is when there's an opportunity. And real estate is also no different or no back burner on this. But largely, what are the inhibitions? The creation of money from white to black. People get scared. The whole complex process, as we discussed, people get scared. The whole issue of trusting a third person whom you have never seen in life and buying something from is another problem. Fourth, you don't know who your neighbors are. Today we are living in a society where your neighbor can start complaining for the smallest of reasons, where you come and put your music a little louder, he'll come and say, boss. So all these inhibitions in mind, you will not know whether you want to travel this direction or not.
Yeah, to add on that, the price also, whether I'm paying more. Is there a vested interest for the person who is showing it? And approval wise, will there be any issue?
Am I getting cheated?
Yeah,
That's the basic.
That's the basic.
That's the basic.
Because the moment you ask for money, you say, sir, you're converted to black. Then there is the grey area, right, which you don't understand. So that is always there.
But what percent of it is black, sir, today?
That you cannot determine. Percentage you cannot determine because unless the government value and the market value
But
is
it is
equal,
there. Undeniably, it is there.
It has to be there. It
has to be there.
It will be there in any industry.
But sector-wise, it's different. In institution, industry, it's very less. I think it's all mostly white. Okay. When it comes to residential, there might be marginal percentage will be there.
When you go inside commercial thing, even companies have a restriction, no? They cannot just...
No company wants to generate cash. So ours is a private limited company. No company wants to generate cash. No company says do cash stealing. They say might as well pay 30% tax. Let's walk the way forward. So that's how it is. But imagine a farmer who has to take 5 crores or 10 crores, in white, and he says, "I don't understand this. You give me some cash.
I need to count."
Correct. So this is undeniable.
Correct.
And when you go to markets like Punjab, it's even more crazy because you'll only see money flowing there.
Correct.
Right. So, and markets like North, when you go up north, you'll only see cash. Most of it is cash. They don't fear cash.
Correct. Cash is sanity for them.
We fear cash. We
don't carry much in pockets.
We hold cash itself very less. We don't want to do that. We are a little scared about it.
Yeah, we are seeing the shift. I think before it used to be 30 to 70%. Now I think most of the transactions are happening in white. Only marginally 20-30% of transactions are in cash.
People don't want to risk themselves. They're very clear about it. By buying a property, you want peace.
Correct.
You don't want to put yourself into problem. So they say, boss, might as well pay 10%, 30% extra.
I don't want headaches.
Absolutely. I don't want to deal with any agency. I'd rather deal with you. You tell me whether to buy in black or white. You suggest them that you do white. Yeah.
Suppose I approach you for consulting and purchasing land. What and all charges can I expect from your end? From a real estate professional.
You approach, we'll do it free of cost.
That.
But largely, if you see, as an agent or as an advisor, in India, the fees are very different. In Tamil Nadu, we charge 2% from both the buyer and the seller.
On either side?
On both sides.
Both sides.
But people come back and say, boss, greater than 1 crore, it's 1%. Greater than 5 crore. So I had this instance where somebody, I helped them buy a property of about 15 crores. They came back and said, we'll pay you a fee of 0.25%. I think, yeah.
About a percentage.
Quarter percentage. 0.25%.
Right.
So he said he has instances where people have already paid only 0.25%. I said, boss, you show me a book in the last 3 years where you purchased a property for 15 crores and you're given 0.25% as commission. Show me precedents. If that has happened, I'll take this and walk out. Or otherwise, I have people who are willing to purchase this asset at 15 crores and also willing to pay me 2% of my transaction fee. Right? So the gentleman said, no, I have not bought. My friend bought. I said, call your friend. Ask him to show me his books. Okay. So what happens? Every customer is very happy to buy the product. Only when it comes to giving you that 2%, his heart breaks. He must have bought a 100 crore property.
Correct.
But you must understand, by giving him a 100 crore property, I have actually increased the value of his books. If you are a real estate company that's doing every month, then I have no right in coming and telling your boss, pay me 2%. It's a Shiva, there are 100
That
people
is
like
not
you
out,
who are giving me better options, right? And we are doing this month on month. So people, if you see, it's an arrangement between the buyer and the seller to understand that we are giving them a product that is worth their lives. And in Tamil Nadu, we do 2-2.
Plus, you are taking all the headache of all this regulatory
Absolutely.
work, right?
In Kerala, it's 3-0. Seller pays 3-0.
Oh.
Whereas in most of the instances, in Punjab and all, it goes to 5% or 6%. In certain
Cash.
places, in certain places,
Yes.
what happens when you deal primary, meaning when you're doing it for a builder, and you have a sole selling arrangement, meaning like how you take marketing assignments from people and only sell for that company, that's called sole selling arrangement. Here, when you have a sole selling arrangement, you can take 4%, 5%. It's already determined, it's already fixed. So that's the fee that you have to pay.
Your basically your company revenue would be the commission. Would it be calculated on the
Absolutely.
commission, not the transaction value, right?
So that's I've asked Balaji to.
No, this is called success fee. I think it's based on as he said, either said it's gross transaction value. So once you're done with the transaction, you charge the
Let's
fee.
say a 10 crore property is
I
the
make
gross
20 lakhs.
transaction value. You made 2%, is 20
Yeah.
lakhs. That is
Upfront-
your revenue.
Correct.
What I just said, which is 40 lakh will be the revenue of the company for that
Correct.
particular
Correct.
Yeah.
And success fee, can you expand upon what is
No,
success?
that's the same brokerage. It's
Same.
another terminology.
Okay.
But believe me, it's always the hardest thing to get from the clients, make them understand. So they don't understand the advisory or the value we add it, like how they give to auditor, how they give
That
it to
is
a
a
legal.
common problem. Like
Yeah.
common problem in the sense to make them understand why this is important.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
So you may have credentials following you. But see, in real estate also, you need to be a pull product. You cannot be a push product. The moment you're a push product, then they'll start negotiating a fee. But they know you're a guy who could be sought out for any issue. They would not mind paying you that fee. And as Balaji rightly used
Because
the
they
word,
have that security, no?
and it's only on success, right? I vaguely remember one of my friends telling that any transaction, very recently, a friend of mine was trying to transact a huge property in Bombay, worth about 12,000 crores. And the fee was already determined and all that. The buyer and the seller had some kind of an ego. And the transaction failed. No, who gets affected because this? It's the realtor who gets affected. He has worked on this for about 2.5 years, made about, in a year he's traveled from Calcutta to Bombay at least 106 times. That's the kind of effort he's put. Now, you have your money, he has his land. My time goes for a toss. So, success fee, that's the most difficult thing. You will be having what you have. He'll be having what he has. Land, you have money.
There
but
is
we
no
lose.
stakes for either parties.
But we lose. And people don't understand that if your time is money, our time is also money.
True. Very
And your 100 rupees is equal to my 100 rupees. Just because you hold it does not have 101. And because I don't hold it, it does not become 99. So I think that kind of an understanding is only there in mature markets. In the US, it's respected.
It's
This is
valued. Is what.
This is a profession in the US.
Correct.
Whereas in India, if you see, the Finance Act only determines 5 people as professionals. Engineer, auditor, doctor, your architect, a lawyer. These are 5 people who are, that's what. Nobody else is a professional for them. A teacher, I don't know if is a professional or not. So a realtor. So we want to be there. We want to be that professional who makes a difference.
Correct. Like you said, whenever you get into a push mode, that's
Very difficult.
Very difficult.
Very difficult.
So you always collected only at the end of the. Do you have a pre-sale agreement which is put along with the buyer and seller so that you are safe? Or people like any realtors, do they
Since
do
there's
that?
lack of trust everywhere, I think.
Okay, that has to be done. There is no other way.
But we don't do because see, fortunately for us, our clients will become customers and they become advocates for us. So they go and say, go to DVIPL, go to Shiva, go to Balaji, they'll do everything for you. In that way, when it comes to a reference, you will also feel squeamish not to pay me.
Correct.
Because you know that your friend has paid me 2%.
Yeah.
And Vignesh does not pay 2%. I will go to CB and say, so CB, you referred
Somebody
me,
else's
but Vignesh only
trust.
paid me 1%. Then CB will ask Vignesh, why did you not pay him 2%? That becomes very squeamish for you. So what you will do, you'll eventually write a check and go out and curse me. That's a different story, but that's what happens.
I think real estate is getting a bit unaffordable for the common man. That is what the common feeling I get if I speak to youngsters, people younger than us at least. If youngsters really want to get into real estate as a professional or even through the investing route, what is sort of a roadmap that you would like to give them?
India,
REIT is of course one option.
correct.
Apart from that,
India per se does not have courses that preach real estate.
correct.
So Indian real estate courses are very limited. As you go to the US, you go to the UK, the market is mature, so you have a lot of courses on real estate. Now in India, we're talking about something called as ESG, which is environment, sustainability and governance. Which is we do a building which is environment friendly, has to sustain by itself, and there is minimum governance to do the building. Right? This is what we're talking of. There are very less courses for this in India. But there are institutes, a lot of institutes like RICS, the Royal Institute of Chartered Surveyors, that enable students to go pursue a career in real estate. Why pursue a career in real estate? Because most of these, as I was talking to you earlier also, it will become professional because of most of the authorities like RERA in Maharashtra is called RERA, in Tamil Nadu it's called TME. RERA has said that you need to write an exam to certify yourself as a realtor to practice real estate. They made it compulsory.
This exam is
Conducted by the government.
Okay.
There are various agencies. So the state government does this, not by the central government, the state government. You're right. You have various agencies that help you write the exam. So I was part of a body called NAR India, which is the National Association of Realtors India, which is an apex body that helps you write an exam and clear the test.
Okay.
Now there is a certain amount of training that you have to go through. There's a 5-hour mandatory training program that you have to go through every day. There's a certain amount of hours that you need to clock, by virtue of which you can become a realtor who can do primary sale. Secondary sale anybody can do. That doesn't restrict. So the government will only start with primary now, then move to secondary. That's how Tamil Nadu also will replicate the same thing. UP is going to replicate the same thing. Gujarat is going to replicate the
Evolution
same thing.
again.
So quickly it will happen. Once that happens, then every BCom student, every arts student who wants to pursue an immediate career will not go to a call center. Because this is an option that he can exercise immediately.
Correct.
Go write an exam, qualify himself, practice this.
More of a professional certification. You do
Absolutely.
this and
Why do you think people chose mutual funds? Because you wrote AMFI, became a qualified advisor. Why do you think people went to insurance? You wrote the IRDA exam, became an agent. So that way, this will improve the quality of people coming into the business. We also urge youngsters to come into real estate because that way, youngsters will not deal with anything grey. They want to deal with black and white, right? So, not in terms of monmy, but in terms of business.
Understood.
So
Understanding.
Correct.
So
they would be wanting to do that. So that way, I think that is good. That will happen. We are there. We are at the cusp of that.
And to add that, once they're done with the degree, it's like any other profession. They should study and they should get the job with any brokerage houses. Like they should spend at least 5 to 10 years observing the market, understanding the client. So get the insights of the market.
To spend 5 to 10 years, nowadays?
No, nowadays
That
people are
impatience
behind
is
the
there.
quick money. I think nothing is equal before the power of compounding, right?
Very true.
There is no real quick money. They should understand everything has to go in
Takes
a
time.
gradual process.
I think knowledge compounds, which gets reflected into money in the long term.
True.
So that there's another thing that I keep telling people. If you see, goddess Lakshmi, she sits on a lotus.
Right.
Correct?
Right.
She sits on a lotus. And today the lotus can bloom. The lotus blooms in every pond, right? Every dirt it kind of blooms, right? So today money is with Sibi, tomorrow it's with Vicky, day after it comes to me. But you see Ma Saraswati, she sits on a rock. That's knowledge. So if you're competent enough, money will come to you.
Okay.
But what happens in India is we have to understand that the shortest distance between two dots is always a straight line. That's something that you accept. So if money has to compound, you invest in a mutual fund, wait for 5 years or 7 years for it to compound. I think for you as an individual to compound generating that kind of knowledge, you should spend about 5 years in a certain industry. Otherwise, you cannot call yourself a qualified professional.
True.
So children should start doing it. The students, youngsters should start doing it. Who are pursuing degree, whatever. They
Just
should
out of college.
Yeah, they should do it. They should probably intern. So NAR India hired a lot of interns. We hired a lot of interns, gave them exposure. Now also, there are a lot of real estate agencies who want to hire interns, give them that exposure. So that will happen. Your question on unaffordability, people think why there is unaffordability. It's again a preset notion. You want to buy in a certain place, then it becomes unaffordable.
Unaffordable, yeah.
But again, the government has come up with some regulation called the economically weaker section, where somebody is developing a certain project, 10% of it has to be earmarked for the economically weaker section. And the size of the plot or the building is adequate enough for somebody who thinks it's unaffordable. So the plot size is about, say, less than 600 square feet. If I have to buy 5 cent property on Avinash Road, it's going to be very costly.
Very costly.
But I can buy 1 cent, where the government allows me to do that. I can always buy, right? I can go to the bank, buy for it.
Correct.
So government also promotes these kind of regulations so that unaffordability mindset is removed.
There's a rising middle class income also. Like
It is
middle class
rising,
is becoming HNI is becoming ultra HNI. The shift is happening. So,
but still that pay disparity is there, no sir. Predominantly in our country, maybe the top 12% earn majority of the income, right? That strata, again, it is still a grey area, right? It has to evolve.
Correct.
Is what,
so number of taxpayers in India.
that is what I'm saying.
Correct. So I think once that improves, so it's again a paradox. You don't know. The moment you increase the tax, they say you're increasing the tax. The less taxpayers, you say you have less taxpayers. So it's a paradox that the government is trying to solve.
It's a chicken and egg.
Correct. So
always chicken and egg situation. Whatever we had in our mind, as far as we could ask, we have asked. Thank you, both of you, for spending this time with us and adding value to our audience. If you have any final thoughts, you could please share it with us and before we wind down.
Personally believe that real estate is one industry that can change many lives. And we are here as an organization to change many lives. Be it buying a house, or be it our employee or colleague who is always with us, or be it our investor. So you see, we want to change lives of everybody. And in an economic system, the land plays a very vital role. And we're very happy that we are in that business. Because identification of land for somebody to set a factory, by which there are thousands of people who are going to work, will actually demarcate in history saying that, okay, this is the gentleman who helped us buy the land within that company.
You had a hand in doing it.
Absolutely. And that's the magic hand that always weaves this. Because any magic goes unrecognized, right? You never appreciate a magician, probably PC Sarkar or these are the magicians you must have respected because they have a certain name. So we want to be, I keep telling Balaji, or I keep, for example, I keep telling my daughter when I go to drop out of school, I tell her opposite the school, we did a transaction. So I tell her this is a transaction that our company did. So she'll ask me so why are you telling me this? I tell her that because when we go in the evening to buy an ice cream, I tell her that the ice cream you eat comes out of this transaction that your organization, your father's organization has done. When you put this kind of a thought process in my daughter, I don't know whether she'll come to real estate or not. But I'm instilling the fact that your father is in a profession that is respectable, gives a lot of people an opportunity to work, and also helps you eat that ice cream, which you've always been earning for. So I believe everybody should believe that real estate is a very respectable profession. Whether you're an auto driver, whether you're a doctor who's trying to do part-time real estate, don't claim to say, I don't know real estate, I'm just trying to connect to people. No, you're changing lives of people and you actually strongly believe in it. Take it up as a profession. Go to the right guy, write an exam, build your credential. Don't do it just for the sake of money.
Become a professional, basically.
Don't do it just for the sake of the money, right? At some point of time, we've actually not taken commissions from our client because when I started this business, there's somebody who bought a house at about 20 lakhs. So the commission was about 20,000. See, generally we don't work in that mindset, saying that guy has to pay you. You're not a very strong corporate force that gives a letter saying, no, you have to give to me. No, we don't do that. That gentleman did not pay us. But 6 months later, he came crying saying that, Shiva, I think I cheated you. My daughter's wedding is not happening because of this. I want to pay you 40,000. Now, see, if you have a good intent and you believe that you gave the house with a good intent, that will come back to you. That is dharma. So I believe that when you're doing any kind of business, ensure that the intent is good. Whether it's a company, corporate, individual, ensure you give him with whole heart. Do wholehearted work. Failure, success is forget all that. But in that chair that you sit, if you're a salesman, ensure you sell well. Don't disqualify your sale. Don't lie and sell, because it's a lifetime investment. This is my thought process on real estate.
See, as you said, this is an emotion. Property is again an emotion. If we can add value to that emotion, always we should put ourselves in other man's shoes and see. Our emotion, we always should feel that if I'm buying a property, how will I look at it? If I'm recommending to a brother, how will I say it? So we have to see in that perspective and advise somebody. And if we are instrumental, even in a small way, if we can add value in people's life, nothing like that.
Yeah, I think it makes sense because, when it comes to real estate, generally it is a lifetime saving of a lot of people that they're putting inside. It's not like, buying something for 100 rupees, test and trial.
Correct.
It doesn't work that way. So I think it makes sense to have some kind of empathy inside and, working professionally. I appreciate your gesture and thought process. I think we'll wrap up with this. Thank you very much for coming here and sharing your insights.
We do sincerely hope the audience also found value. If you have found value, consider subscribing. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We wish both of you great success in ensuring that knowledge transfer happens to the business community and the society. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate you for calling us.
Thank you.
Thank you.